Hey everyone, welcome to Fighting Over the Card Catalog, a snarky look back on young adult novels of the 80s and 90s. I'm Jess.
I'm Steven, and I'm here to make my wife happy.
We're taking a journey to find out how many terrible and hopefully some not so terrible books from my youth I can get my husband to read before he reconsiders this whole marriage. Hi.
What's up, cool babysitters? Hey, what's up?
Every time. What's up? I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'm not done packing yet, but
Not
it's
on
fine.
a jet plane.
Not on a jet plane on a 26-hour drive.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to go, and I'm like,
No, he
thanks.
hates driving for a
Going
long
to Colorado
distance.
was difficult.
And that was 11 hours.
Yeah.
We're doing 11 hours just tomorrow.
Right.
But we're doing a girls trip, and we don't have dogs. So
Lucky you.
it's going to be fun. Oh, I'm going to miss Luna so bad. Like, it's so bad. But it's fine. And we had lots of good sporting this weekend.
Yeah, some good sporting.
Yeah, FC Dallas kicked ass.
They did.
Against Houston.
5-1, really 6-1, but there was
fucking Pepe was offside.
another back. And we were looking at the replay. He didn't interfere with the play at all. So if a secondary player is offsides and he doesn't interfere with the play, it's still supposed to count. So
I saw you arguing in the Facebook group.
yeah. And the other guy that was arguing was just like he was offsides. Well, that's not the rule. The rule is the ball wasn't played to him, and he didn't go toward the ball to try to play the ball.
No.
And therefore, as long as he gets back on side before he touches the ball again, it shouldn't matter. Play should continue. But Jesus scored, and for whatever reason, I guess we were kicking their ass too bad. The ref called it back.
And the refs always hate FC Dallas anyway.
So many bad calls. I mean, we literally had a guy that got punched in the face.
He got punched in the face.
Straight up punched in the face.
But it's fine.
In the middle of play, and they didn't even call it a foul, much less give the guy a red card. They didn't even stop play and call it a foul.
He got punched in the face.
And there's supposedly people in the booth reviewing this stuff.
VAR, baby.
But, it's like refs have each other's back, so, it's still iffy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
college football started this weekend. There are two real live games, and I was just over the moon happy.
Yeah, you did.
They're not teams I root for. It doesn't matter. I just love the fucking game. And it's back. It's not like soccer where they play 9 months of the year. No. Our off season is 9 months of the year, so. But all the big stuff's happening this next week and weekend, and so y'all are probably lucky. We're not recording an episode next week. It'll be all football all the time. Which I don't feel like there's a huge cross section probably of our listeners with the books and the sports. But there might be, and if there are, let us know. Tell us about your sports love, because sports and reading are just like right there for me. Yeah, I love them. Anyways, we gotta finish this for all my women get here.
So let's go.
Let's go. This week's book is Babysitter's Club number 9, The Ghost at Dawn's House, published in January of 1988. Tell us about it.
Dawn has always thought there was a secret passage hidden in her house, but she never thought there was a ghost until now. All kinds of creepy things go on whenever Dawn's at home. There are even spooky noises behind her bedroom wall. Dawn is sure there's a ghost in her house, and so are the other babysitters. But they're so busy with their babysitting jobs that they hardly have time for a ghost hunt. Will Dawn and her friends ever solve the mystery, or will Dawn have to share her house with a ghost?
Ta-da!
Totally misleading.
Okay,
It
so
has some themes about what goes in with the book, in
Yeah.
the book, but not.
okay. And one other thing, this has always bothered me: the cover.
Right.
It shows her and Jeff looking up a staircase.
I kept
from
waiting
her
for something to happen
bedroom.
in the attic
Yeah, right.
because
And
of
not
the
just
cover.
that stupid little thing when the girls are playing around.
Right.
Yeah, I know. That's what it makes it seem like, and it is not, because you go down a little bit, take a corner, and then there are stairs down. Is how it's described from her room.
Right.
Too. So, anyways, that's always really bothered me. I mean, it could still be as dramatic a shot if they're looking down.
Right.
So, I don't know what the fuck. God damn it. Okay, so what do you think overall of the book?
I mean, Dawn's my favorite of the babysitters.
Okay, I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah,
Actually, I was
so-
gonna ask you next Babysitters Club book, because we were gonna have 2 by everybody. Next time, but okay.
This was probably the best one yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. This was my A+ number 1 Babysitter's book when I was younger. You know when you read a paperback so much that the spine gets curved a bit? Totally had that on my original copy.
Really?
Yeah. I loved it. Because I mean, I had such high hopes when we moved to Connecticut that we would get a house and a barn, something old like this, I
Right.
mean, this really got my hopes up for that.
Yeah.
We had a house built in the 80s and we moved there in 90, so it was...
Yeah, I've always had a fascination with hidden rooms and stuff like that. I love seeing the old shows where they have the secret tunnels in Boston between the houses underneath and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff.
Dope.
And then I and then I read about the guy who was the pharmacist in, I think it was Chicago during the World's Fair, and he was making enough money. He had enough money to build an entire building that took up a block, and he ended up making a hotel, and he built all these secret passages and stuff in it. And the bad thing was that he did not do good with it. During the World's Fair, when people were nobody knew where other people were, he was murdering people.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
He actually made it to where he could completely seal off a room, and then he could let gas into the room to kill people that way. And then he had torture dungeons and and then that was when the fascination with secret rooms and stuff kind of took a darker turn.
Yeah.
I'm no, that's not one.
Not just fun like the Winchester Mystery House.
Right.
Yeah. Which I also want to go to. I don't know how I can, but it's a lot of stairs. It's in San Jose, California.
Oh, I thought you meant on your way to...
Oh, no, it's just a bucket list sort of thing.
Okay, no. Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, we're swinging by California on our way to upstate New York.
Yeah. That's a little bit more of a road trip.
Mm-hmm. But hey, maybe I'll look up and see if I can find any places around Albany and shit that have underground shit or something.
Right.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I did not have that. But overall, I think it's really suspenseful and exciting, for kids reading it. I mean,
there's some issues.
There's always issues.
But I guess we'll talk about that.
Scale of number 1 being the best book ever to the Dementor's Kiss of 10 sucking the soul from your love of reading.
3.
3?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then I definitely have to give it a 2. And I guess a 4 now.
4 now?
Yeah. So the girls have returned from their super long 2 weeks from each other. While everybody's at the beach and all sorts of places, California. And there's much squeeing to be done when they first reunite. And now I kind of like to imagine it as Angelica and Eliza and take a break. You know how they do. I love it. So Don and Jeff got to fly alone to California. I got to do that 2 summers between Connecticut and Texas. And I did get to sit in first class, but I didn't get all like the super special treatment that they apparently got. Oh. But I didn't really like all that attention on me anyway, because you kind of have like a stewardess assigned to you,
right?
To just kind of like, she's doing other things, but
yeah, keep an eye on you.
And it's like, it, shy little introverted me did not like that. It's like, just leave me alone and let me read my Babysitter Club books, please. So I was 9 and 10. Yeah. So they had a pretty good time out in California. It was the first time they're seeing their dad since the divorce and the move and everything. And it's the first time I've heard the term Disneyland Daddy.
Yeah, I had actually written a note about that.
Yeah, I wondered what your thoughts were on that. Both.
Yeah, because she was talking about having a guilty father,
mm-hmm.
Felt guilty for...
Yeah, I was wondering what your...
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was kind of that way. Mm-hmm. It was like we would go over to his house, because every other weekend mm-hmm. was basically when we saw him.
Once he met your stepmom, I bet he was a lot more...
Well, by that time, they dated for a while. They were not actually together. Like, she actually got pregnant with Mitchell. Mm-hmm. They were still not like officially together. I mm-hmm. think it was probably 6 months after he was born before she was convinced to try to actually stay with my dad.
Good for her.
Because my dad was not being a good person at the mm-hmm. time, and I think she had to wait to see him change, and he did. Yeah, he did. But yeah, we would go over to his house on a Friday, and he'd always like make either hamburgers or chili cheese dogs, and he would bake a cake.
Oh,
like every weekend that we were over there.
And that's nice.
We really wouldn't do very much. We basically sat around his house, watched Showtime, HBO, or we had a whole bunch of VCR.
VHS, that you taped off of HBO and stuff. Yeah,
so we had a whole bunch of those, and they had a pool at his apartment complex. So that was basically all we did on the weekend. And
at least you had a pool.
My dad would like stay in his room most of the week.
Oh no.
While we were there, yeah. So we would be in the living room watching TV, and he would mainly be in his room watching TV.
So defo not Disneyland Daddy.
Yeah, so we did not have Disneyland.
Wow. Okay. Did you live close to y'all?
At times.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the same city.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes. I think it's different when you're across the country from each other and only see each other 2 weeks.
Sure. And even, I can, my middle brother always considered himself a really good father to his oldest two, because he would actually drive a couple of hours every other weekend to have them for the weekend.
Well, that's nice.
I mean, that was something.
It was something.
I cannot imagine being with my kids only for every other weekend.
Yeah.
That was a horrifying thought to me.
Well, yeah, but that's okay, because you had your kids for most of the time. Yeah.
But, so...
So you weren't Disneyland Daddy?
No.
I was always... You were just dad.
I was always just dad. But having said that, once I reached a certain age, it was like I just didn't want to go to Dad's anymore.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I mean, why should you? You're not seeing him anyway.
You
don't have all your shit there.
I reached 15 or 16, and I'm like, I just want to hang out with my friends on the weekend. Yeah. You know, it's nothing against you, Dad. Maybe it was, but yeah, he had his own thing going on. And
I'm surprised it took that long.
Right.
You know, like I would have been like probably at like 12 or 13, like friends would be better.
Absolutely, I was that way. I felt that way, but I didn't feel like I had any control over it. By the age of 16, You're a man. I had my own car and had been working, and yeah. So I was very involved with school. Worked at the movie theater.
You had a whole
every weekend.
Life then. So yeah, that makes sense. No Disneyland Daddies here.
But Dawn saw her.
And they had a good fun time, and she babysat some old clients, and yeah, they had a good time. But now we're back, and the day after their reunion, Dawn invites everybody over to help her search for the secret passage that she is sure is in her house. She has no evidence. It's just so old that she's certain there is one. Girls don't get much accomplished, though, aside from scaring each other. They break up into two groups.
See, in that time frame, you would think that there was something under the house because there was no air conditioning.
Right.
There were no refrigerators.
Right.
So they would have like cellars to put food in.
Yeah.
And keep cool and stuff.
Well, I mean, they did mention they have a basement. But they didn't want to go look in it because it was too scary.
Right.
And it's like, that seems like the most logical.
Right.
So, whatever, girls. Jeff gets the last laugh, though, in scaring them all because he is awesome. I love Jeff, even when he turns into a dick in a little bit. But it's for reasons, so it's fine. Anyway, Marianne gets to meet the Perfect Perkinses. Yeah.
Perkinses.
That moved into Christy's old house. And she's a little weird about it at first, and I imagine it would be weird. It's like I don't get to just, like, come in the door without knocking like I used to. Right. And everything's, all this different furniture and everything. And, she's a bit sad about it.
It was kind of weird that she didn't tell them that, I've been in your house lots of times.
Yeah.
I've been in your room lots of times.
Yeah.
My best friend.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
Room.
She barely said anything. We meet Mariah and Gabby, and they're wonderful and adorable and so talented. But Chewy, their dog, is the most perfect. I love him with all my heart. He's a big black lab.
Chewbacca.
I learned something from this. Actually, I learned a couple things from this book. But in this chapter, when she says, "Tell me about it," to Gabby's drawing, instead of just saying, "What is it?" or assuming. Yeah, I've used that now, like, so many times with little kids. Yeah. And yeah, it's quite effective and it's very good. So thanks for that.
Yeah, so what she's referring to is when the youngest kid draws a picture and she has no idea what it is. Instead of saying, "What is it?" she says, "Tell me about it." That way the kid's not disappointed that you can't tell.
You can't tell this is my purple elephant?
Yeah. And then they're going to tell you all the stuff that's happening that they want you to see.
Yeah. So Dawn sits for the Pikes, and Mallory gets to be the second sitter, and I'm very excited for her. Dawn learns firsthand about the problem Stacy and Marianne ran into with Nikki on their vacation, and that the triplets think he's too young to play with him, and he's a baby, but he doesn't want to play with the girls. So his parents give him a 2-block rule, meaning he can go anywhere by himself as long as it's within 2 blocks of their house. And Mrs. Pike's like, "So don't worry if he disappears." But when he does, briefly, Dawn does worry, but he shows up after a little while, very sweaty and very dirty. And when Dawn gets back after sitting. She's like, I want to read. Go read in the barn because it's nice and quiet. And so she goes and finds the coolest spot she can. This is what else I learned from this book is that heat rises.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that before. I mean, obviously I learned it later, but yeah. Thank you, Anne. You taught me so much in this book. So she goes to sit on this cool spot and ends up falling through the floor about 5 feet. I would think that would hurt way more than it seems to.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a little shaken.
So the only way I could think of that not like really hurting is if like it's like a trap door and like your back was still on it and your feet went down first. And then that way it wasn't quite as much drop.
Yeah.
But even that is still going to be
It's going to be painful. And then also the door itself seems confusing to me. It seems like a trap door like that would come up.
Right.
And not go down.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. Like, the only kind of like go down.
Because there's a ladder that goes up.
The only kind of like go down trapdoors I've seen are like on stage.
But that doesn't fit the narrative.
It doesn't fit the narrative.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense and I hate it. But anyway, she's done it, y'all. She's found a secret passageway. Yeah, like you said, when she feels along the wall, there is a ladder. And like in the wall, kind of like rungs, I guess, in the wall. Going up so she can get out of there. She goes in and gets a flashlight and comes back and there's this whole long passageway and then it hits a set of stairs and down a little narrow hallway from there and it ends up a secret door leading right into Dawn's bedroom. I mean, that shit's legit awesome. I would be losing my shit. And
it's very convenient, that's for sure.
It's very convenient, but it would be very awesome. Imagine if you found that when you're 13 in your house. Yeah.
So like her room is on the second story, right?
Yes.
So this goes down underground and then it must be a large set of stairs.
I mean, really long. Yeah.
It has to because it's got to go from underground. How many ever feet it takes underground to not have a cave in above you?
Yeah.
And then it's got to go up through the first floor to the second floor. Yeah.
It's a long ass set of stairs.
Yeah. And after how many years and these stairs are still good?
I know, right?
I mean, she should have said something about it being rock stairs or something like that.
Oh, that would be exciting. Yeah. But she doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they do talk about later on that we don't know how safe this is and we should maybe get this checked out. But yeah, when you're just finding it when you're 13, come on. So going back more slowly, Dawn finds some stuff in the passageway, like an old button, a buckle, possibly from an old-timey shoe, and a key. And so, here's where it just gets... The key causes her to become convinced that a prisoner died in there or something, and scares herself into thinking her house in the passageway is haunted. I remember the rapping noises I had heard the night of the storm. Now I knew what had really made them. That is a huge fucking leap, Dawn.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see wondering.
That is a lot of superstition.
Yeah. I could see wondering about it. You know, she's like, now I knew what had really made them. Girl, no, you don't.
Yeah. I've talked to people like that. Well, this is this, so that means this is definitely this.
Yeah. Dawn.
There's no other way it could have happened. Well, there's no other way you can imagine at this moment that it could have happened. That doesn't mean that's... I was disappointed about the key.
Okay.
Because they never found anything that the key went into later on.
True.
Yeah.
What if they do in a letter book?
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they do, but but yeah, you're right. Because
you put a key in chapter 3, you gotta use it in chapter 6 or 7.
Yeah. You should, but
they did.
No,
she did.
Well, I mean, I guess she wants it to be like an ongoing mystery because I mean, the passageway is used and talked about and shit all the time. Later, anyway, so Karen sits for her little brother and step siblings, and she starts off her notebook entry saying, "Thank you very much, Dawn. Because of you, we've all got ghosts on the brain. Even I do. How else can you explain what happened when I was babysitting for Karen, Andrew, and David Michael last night? Karen! Christy! Is always Karen! I mean, just God. It's always fucking Karen."
Yeah. Starting more shit. Yeah, so there's like storms all over the place during this book. And stormy this night. And Karen's like, yeah, we need to tell scary stories. And Christy's like, no, let's tell jokes instead. And she does the whole, well, okay, let me just read this. The shade that the kids throw at Christy is like everything to me. So Christy starts out, we can tell scary stories any old time. Let's tell jokes instead. Knock, knock. David, Michael, Karen, and Andrew glanced at each other. I said knock, knock, Christy repeated. David Michael heaved a great sigh. Who's there? And it gets into the whole knock, knock. Who's there? Banana. And then banana who? Knock, knock. All that bullshit. So we finally get to the, aren't you glad I didn't say banana? And Christy bursts into giggles at her own stupid shit. The three kids look mystified. So, said Karen, this is a tale of what made old Ben Brewer so... I appreciate them in this scene. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupted Cal.
Mo! And Stephen burst into giggles. Jess looked mystified. So, Karen starts her story. And she scares the shit out of everyone, of course. Andrew's almost crying. With this story about old great-grandfather Ben Brewer. But, okay. I have a lot of issues with Karen, but I'll hand it to her. That bitch can tell a story off the top of her head. And have props and make it very dramatic. And I mean, that's impressive. She really needs a healthy outlet like theater, though.
Sure.
But one without pushover directors. Looking at you, super special number 9. I have feelings on super special number 9. We're not going to get there for a very long time, but I'm angry about it already. Anyways. It's all theater. So, yeah. So that same night, Dawn is sitting for Jeff because her mom is going out on a date, but not with Marianne's dad. And Dawn is like really pissy about it.
Yeah, I mean, what is up with that?
What is up with
It's
what?
like they don't say
why she's
anything
mad?
Bad. No, with her mom.
Oh, she's dating around.
It's like she doesn't say anything went wrong with her dad. It just did all this build up. Yeah, just did all this, build up in the one book.
Yeah.
And then, how they were high school sweethearts and now they're having all this good time hanging out together, and her dad's becoming such a looser guy, and then, there's nothing that's said as goes wrong between them.
No. I think
all of a sudden she's dating other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're led to believe that she's like dating Richard too, but just so casually. Like all these, there were a lot of other guys that Dawn listed off, but I mean, I think she's just out there. She doesn't want to get, totally committed yet. Like, because it seemed like she went from Richard to marrying Dawn and Jeff's dad, and that's it. So I think she's just out there seeing what there is, making sure she's making the right decisions for herself. Yeah. I'm not mad at her, obviously. So anyways, there's a storm, of course, and the lights go out, and Jeff gets hella bored, so Dawn decides to show him the secret passage. She says, I pressed the corner of the molding. It hadn't taken long to figure out how the catch worked, and the wall swung inward. Okay, so then how does it work? Like, I just found that really lazy writing. Like, she couldn't come up with an idea of how the catch worked. It's like, I would have been interested in knowing how that worked. Right. Was there a little something in the molding? Like what?
Yeah.
Tell me how it works and how it's able to open from both the inside and,
right,
the out. And so, yeah. Anyways. Just a parenthetical. It hadn't taken long to figure it out how it worked. That bothered me. So they go in and they find a couple of new things in there. A buffalo nickel and an old-fashioned ice cream cone. Did this bother you? It's always bothered me.
Yeah.
Okay. The old-fashioned ice cream cone is just like your regular pointy ice cream cone, right, as opposed to the flat-bottomed, airy one. I mean, they do say, she does say, like, oh, we've probably had, like, 2 ice cream cones in our life. But, I mean, if you've never even had an ice cream cone, you know what they look like. You know what they are.
So, I want to know how she thought this was a ghost.
Yes.
Eating ice cream down in their secret passage.
Yes, me too. Or, like, had been, and, like...
Or how...
it lasted so long? Yeah. It's like...
or how this was done in the 1800s and...
You're not dumb, Dawn. Yeah. By the way, ice cream cones were not invented until at least 1895. Maybe later. A little bit later. Anyways.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it must be the ghost that went out and got ice cream.
Yeah. Brought it back. My whole time I'm thinking it's like rodents.
Yeah.
Just like moving. I mean, that would have been my first thing, was thinking, okay, well, here's this buffalo nickel that wasn't here before. Some rodent has been in here. Mm-hmm. Or here's this ice cream cone that wasn't here before. Of course, they probably would have eaten it, but...
Well, yeah. But, I mean, maybe the last little bit was bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe they brought it in there, dropped it, and got scared by the lightning and ran out.
Mm-hmm. See, that would have been the first thought. Then I would have thought, oh, there's little people living inside the walls. I mean, it's just as likely as a ghost. So, and,
the collectors.
Even more so, because collectors and stuff, like, they move stuff around, and I don't think the ghost's just gonna come and drop shit like that.
Right.
Anyway, Dawn tells Jeff that it's haunted, and then they hear creaking and a moan, and they freak the hell out, get out of there, and call their mom at their grandparents' where they had went for dessert after dinner. She eventually explains it, and so she's like, okay, we'll be right there. And she says, me and Trip will be right there. And so she gets off the phone, and all she can say to Jeff is, Mr. Gwynn's name is Trip. Trip. Can you believe it? Jeff laughed. Oh, yeah. Man, that is so cool, he said sarcastically. I bet he wears pink socks and alligator shirts, and his friends call him, like, the Trip Man or something. And that's what they continue to call him for a while. And I don't know, this just always really amused me. The Trip Man. Apparently it's short for Theodore, which I have never heard.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, Trip.
And he didn't wear pink socks, but he had a pink shirt.
Yeah. While they're waiting, they start piling all of Dawn's shit in front of the door to the passageway, like that's gonna stop a ghost. Mm-hmm. Sharon and the Trip Man arrive, and the Trip Man goes in, and he says, like, there's nothing there. So he leaves, and he tells them, you should probably get locks or something and figure out what's going on in the barn and shit. But Dawn's still so freaked out, she goes to sleep on the couch. But she finds an old book, The History of Stony Brook, with an E, that she figures her grandma gave to her mom, and reads this chapter on legends. And that's where we meet Jared Mulray. We learn all about this dude who did not want to leave his home back in the 1800s, after saying he wasn't quite right in the head. There's some ableism in this one with crazy and stuff, but it's like, okay, so their family can't pay their bills, so they have to sell the house and all their possessions and shit. But Jared's like, I'm not going. So they get all packed up, the family, and they're like, all right, come on, Jared. And he says, no, I ain't going. But the crazy thing was that it didn't sound like it was coming from the house, and it didn't sound like it was coming from the barn. So where could it be coming from? And then Dawn figures it out.
From the big hole right in the middle of the passage, because how else are you going to hear them?
Exactly. So Dawn's like, holy shit, that's my house, and Jared Mulray is haunting it. Ah! It, like, confirms to her that the passageway is haunted. There's a chapter where Claudia sits for Jamie Newton, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything. He won't sleep, and he's kind of a little dick, but it's like normal 4-year-old behavior. Moving on.
She didn't get to watch TV like she wanted to.
Oh, how terrible. Dawn gets Marianne to go into the passageway one day, and she took her into, even though they were in the barn, she took her into her bedroom so she could do, like, the dramatic opening of the wall. And I absolutely would, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gotta look hella cool. Dawn goes, you go first. Are you crazy? Absolutely not. I know if I go first, you won't follow. I'll find you lounging on my bed or something. And she's totally right. She's totally got Marianne's number on that. And again, they find stuff that wasn't there before. This time it's peanut shells and a book. So Dawn gets all scared, and stupid her, she tells Marianne all about the ghost and freaks her the hell out. And so Marianne bolts and almost locks Dawn in the passageway. And that's pretty great. I'm here for that. Stacy sits for the younger Pikes. Mrs. Pike leaves a list of chores for Stacy to do. She's like, they're like, yeah, she sometimes does that. We get paid more. Mother's helpers wages. But, I mean, really? They have 8 able-bodied kids. And I know they're not all about rules, but give them some responsibility. Because it was just stuff like folding laundry or emptying the dishwasher. And it's like, you've got like 5 to 11-year-olds. They can handle that just fine. She has an issue with Vanessa, Margot, and Claire and some concentrated shampoo. They got this sample in the mail, which their parents always let them have. So they're like, yeah, let's wash Claire's hair. But they did not read it. And so it was super concentrated. They were only supposed to use like a couple drops. They used the whole thing. I don't know how long they took eventually to get all the shampoo out, but it sounds fun. But during all this, Nikki disappears again. So Stacy calls Dawn in for backup, and she's eventually able to find him. But again, he's all sorts of dirty. But Dawn has a theory brewing that she gets to test a few days later. She goes to sit for just Mallory and the boys. And the triplets are like, they're really dicks to Nikki. I feel really bad for him.
That's typical older brother behavior.
Yeah. And it's 3 ganging up on 1. Yeah. That's gotta be really fucking hard. This isn't the worst part, but like, they're just picking on him all day. Adam goes, hey, Nikki, say Mark Twain's initials and point to your head. And he's like, oh, that's simple. Pointed to his left ear. MT. And they all laugh. Empty. Get it? You've nothing in your head, Nikki. Not one little brain. It's empty. And he goes, ha ha, so funny I forgot to laugh. Do you remember saying that back in the day?
I'm sorry, I'm reading something else.
Boy saying, haha, it's so funny I forgot to laugh.
Yep.
Like, what kind of... Everyone said that. Was it a Pee Wee Herman thing?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay, that's why we were all saying it.
Absolutely.
Anyways, Dawn coins it the Mark Twain incident, which made me laugh. So Nikki takes off after they pull a chair out from underneath him, and he like falls on a cupcake, and it's sad. So he takes off, and Dawn's like, okay, Mallory, you're in charge. And she heads straight for her barn in the passageway, and sure enough, Nikki is in there. He's pretty upset about being found, which makes sense, but she shows him the door into her room, and he explains a few things to her, that a lot of the stuff in the passage was from him, of course, but he was never there at night, so we can't explain all the noises.
So, if I had a kid coming into a secret passageway...
In your house?
I would be locking it up.
She does say that she's got a lock now on the wall, but she only locks it at night. I mean, I get why, because then this was able to happen. She was able to open the wall, for Nikki.
Kids become teenagers, and they want to tell other teenage kids about stuff. I mean,
not these teenagers. They never age from now.
I gotcha.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But they talked to Mrs. Pike about it. And by the way, this is technically within the 2 blocks.
Right.
It's like the edge of Dawn's property is exactly 2 blocks. But they talked to Mrs. Pike about it. And, Nikki's like, I need a place of my own to just be able to go. And I'm like, yeah, you do. I feel you there.
Yeah, it's not in somebody else's secret passageway or even their barn. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. They're also like blasé about it.
They really are.
This kid's been sneaking into your barn and going down into your secret passage.
Yeah. Yeah. But Mrs. Pike says, let's get it checked out, like Tripman had, suggested. But otherwise, okay. If, and Dawn's like, it's okay with me. I'll have to check with my mom. Thank you for at least saying that.
Now, I was going to say, okay, so like he's going down there by himself.
Yes.
That's only going to last so long. He's going to get bored.
But that's what he's saying he wants it for. To have his own
to
space.
Be in a dark hallway, a dark dirt hallway by himself. That's what he wants.
I would have.
And that's going to be fine for a week or 2 until the novelty wears out.
I mean, it's been a couple weeks already.
So the novelty's already wearing out.
I don't think so. I think that would have been awesome if I could have brought a dog.
He's going to start wanting to tell other people, hey, this is my clubhouse. Come see my clubhouse.
I don't think he ever does, though. I don't think.
In the story. In real boy world.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a lot of good reasoning and decision making here,
right.
For sure. So the BSC has a slumber party at Dawn's house, and they all want to watch different movies. And this is a book where Marianne wants to watch 16 Candles. It's not exactly, I mean, I think I watched it when I was 8 at a sleepover, to be fair. But still, I don't think it's really an appropriate movie for 12-year-olds to watch.
No.
And especially Marianne. It's like, a lot of people think Anne did not ever watch this movie. With all the underwear and sex talk and never mind the racism. But anyways, yeah. So, yeah, it's always been weird that she's, like, obsessed with this movie. But whatever. So, Stacy and Dawn feel like they're nerdy lepers when the other girls abandoned them to go make s'mores. And Dawn tells Stacy a cool way to get back at them. So, a little while later, the 2 of them leave, ostensibly to get some drinks. But they sneak out into the barn and get in the passageway, go up to the wall to Dawn's room, and they start tapping on the wall and moaning. And the other girl starts screaming, and Marianne freaks out about the ghost. And Dawn and Stacy open the door and laugh at them. And that's very good. Until, after they've closed the door, they hear rapping from the passageway. And they know it's too late to be Nikki. So is it haunted after all?
It is.
Da-da-da.
It definitely is.
Uh-huh.
It has to be.
Uh-huh. I know you believe that. So yeah, that's the book. And I'm sorry, I just loved it. I loved it so much. I mean, there's a bit of mystery. There is, like, history. Old houses are just awesome, you know.
Until you have to stay in one by yourself. At night.
I think I'd be good.
Now, at 10, 11, 12.
Maybe.
7, 8.
Maybe. I don't know.
A big creaking, creepy house.
I think I'd be okay.
Now I'd be fine. I mean, I lived. I survived.
I know. But you were also watching very scary movies, and
yeah,
somebody did try to break into your house. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a time period where I watched, like, King Kong. Had nightmares about that.
Did you think King Kong was going to come break into your very old house?
I had nightmares about looking out of the window and having King Kong looking back at me on the second story window. Yeah.
I mean, that would be frightening, sure, as a nightmare. But,
I watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That was freaking scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were several. Friday the 13th.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in that house. Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, that's not a good one to watch when you live in Texas in an old house. No, it's really not. All right, so let's move on to chapter 3 of Anne's, biography. It says her written with somebody else.
Oh.
Margot Becker, so whatever. So in this chapter is called Sisters. So we learn all about how different Anne and her sister Jane are. Anne, of course, is very quiet and shy and prefers reading by herself and sewing and doing well in school, whereas Jane is just the opposite and is totally outgoing and loved sports. And surprise, surprise, they look different too. Okay, I just have to read this verbatim because it's just... They even look different. Both are blonde and pretty, but Anne is medium height and thin, with sharp, delicate features. Jane is 6 feet tall. She says she's 5'12", and has a curvy figure and rounder features. Back then, though, Anne was much bigger and heavier than Jane. Her fat period lasted from 2nd through 4th grades. If you know Anne now, it's hard to believe she ever had a fat period. Jane didn't grow tall until she was a sophomore in high school. For a long time, she was tiny. This is also hard for people to believe who know Jane as an adult. Wow. Fat period. Dope. Love it. Especially talking about 2nd through 4th grades. But they played dress up together and had lemonade stands and playhouses and a treehouse that they say is super important later in the book. What a cliffhanger. And it turns out Jane wasn't great in school because she was dyslexic. But her parents got her help for it, and that's great. Now it says, and this is true, some Babysitters Club fans believe Claudia is dyslexic, and that's why she has trouble in school herself. Anne thinks this is probably a good theory. Girl, it's your story. You could make this canon. You know, like, let Claudia get help. Show readers that it's okay to get help.
Right.
And of course, Anne is perfect in all things. The girls took many different types of lessons after school. Art was one of Anne's favorites. She also loved her horseback riding lessons. Other classes Anne took were ballet, ballroom dancing, her least favorite class, piano and guitar, briefly. She enjoyed learning new things and did well with all her lessons.
Autobiography.
One more. Oh, the sisters did fight every once in a while, and I kind of love this. If she and Jane had an argument, she'd give her sister the silent treatment. then Anne and Jane would make their parents give each other messages for them, even if they were in the same room. Which is dope. But now Anne says, Jane and I used to be just sisters. Now we're best friends too.
Nice.
What are you reading?
Nothing.
Really?
I'm reading nothing other than fall.
You haven't been listening to anything at work? It's been too busy?
Yes, I finished 2.
Oh.
I finished 1 today, so I have nothing else to read at this moment.
Okay.
But I did finish a book called Ghostly Echoes by William Ritter. It's a good book. I unfortunately did not know that it was into the series already. Because when I checked it out, it didn't say it was part of the series or anything.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, there was already backstory that it was alluding to, and I didn't know.
That legitimately stresses me out.
And then finished Evil Spy School, which is the 3rd in that series. Yeah, still good.
You gonna continue with it?
Yep.
Still?
I'll do the next one. I mean, they're short and they're sweet.
Mm-hmm. The only book I've been reading is called The Storm Sister. It's the 2nd book in the Seven Sisters series. That's the word for it. This is one I had the library order because they only had the first book. And there's like 6 or 7 books to this series. So I'm like, how could you do that? There are a lot out already. Yeah. So yeah, once I finish this one, I'm going to have them order the 3rd one. So I'm not done with it yet, but the series overall is about 6 sisters, but they're all adopted by their dad from different parts of the world at different points. So they're all, a few years apart. And he's named them all after, like the stars and stuff because he's really into sailing and all that. He dies and he gives them like clues to their birthplaces and families in different ways. We've only learned 2 of them so far. And so they end up going, in the first one, she went to Brazil. And then you also learn about their family beforehand. So you learn some history. They worked it into building the big ass statue of Christ in Brazil. Mm-hmm. And so I got to learn about that. And I looked up all the real stuff about it. And yeah, that was really interesting. This one has to do with music in Norway. But I don't know much more about that yet because I'm not done with it. But I'm enjoying it. The main characters are, again, a little too perfect, like super talented at multiple things and no bad traits. So I don't love that, but otherwise it's very interesting and I'm looking forward to reading more. So that's all I got for this week.
Great job.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you've been enjoying our show, please share it, tweet about it, share it with your friends. Still only have 1 review on Apple Podcasts. So please, let me come back from my vacation thing to some reviews. I'd really, really appreciate it. Check out our website at fightingoverthecarcatalog.com where you'll find all our social media links. But you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, Pinterest at Fighting Over the Card Catalog, and Twitter at Card Catalog Pod, and Jess at... That's me. And my personal at Just Digress, although I will warn you it's going to be football heavy pretty soon. But I was thinking of doing some trip stuff on our Instagram, so look for that this week, I guess. So, since I will be gone this next week, and Steven's already going to be sad enough without me, we are not going to have an episode next week, because I don't know that I'll have time to really read a book, and he just won't do it without me. And then I'm getting back probably Wednesday.
I'll read without you. I just won't read one of those books without you.
Yeah. but I do need to decide before I leave what the other books for September are. Do you have any suggestions? Any series you've enjoyed more than others?
Well, obviously, I wanted to choose your own adventure, but we haven't figured out a way to do it.
Haven't figured that out yet. We should figure that out by November when it's your month to pick them all. We're rereading the books of your childhood.
So you don't have to.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.